technology can do. We're going to launch more cities this year. We're going to work with the best brands, and Disney's there.
We love working with Verizon and with your team, Hans.
We're developing 5G ultra-wideband for ultra-fast speeds and massive capacity.
Verizon's 5G ultra-wideband, it all starts with the fan experience.
We are working with industries where we think there are opportunities for 5G to make a difference.
2035, carbon neutral. 2025, 50% of consumption should come from renewable energy.
Please welcome to the stage Executive Director for Federal Civilian Agencies, John Harris, and Director of U.S. Federal Mobile and Connected Solutions, Brian Shromsky.
Thank you so much. It's amazing to be on a stage like this with all of you and interacting face to face, as opposed to in my office looking at you through a couple of computer screens. So thank you to everyone for being here. I wanted to start with a special thanks to Dawn and all of the folks at GBEF who have made this conference possible. Dawn, your leadership, your passion, and your inspiration for all of us to be here is simply amazing. So thank you to everyone. Wanted to start out as well in saying thank you to our friends in Virginia who are watching at the Tower Club. Thanks for being part of the event. And to our friends across the pond in London and in Paris, thanks for joining us. And thank you especially to all of you who have made the time, made the effort, and traveled to Las Vegas to be part of CES, Government, or now EDGE 2021. So the theme for the event this year is to be part of something bigger. And I can't imagine anything bigger than 5G and the innovations and technology that it will fuel as we go into the future. But before we talk about 5G, I'd like to talk a little bit about what got us here. So as a kid, I grew up just a number of hours north of here in Salt Lake City, Utah. I know, Utah. But I remember visiting Las Vegas a number of times, and I was always taken with the city, the energy, the people, the magnitude of Las Vegas. And I could not imagine that in my lifetime, I would see anything that would shut this city down. Yet in March of 2020, that's what started to happen. Ultimately, the Strip in Las Vegas went dark. Many places across the US obviously went dark, as did the world. And yet we needed to find a way to continue to move forward. And that's what many of you did, that's what we did. That transition happened in a blink of an eye. Things that we may have thought would take us months had to take days. It started with moving to a remote work environment, taking our employees out of offices and out of larger facilities and getting them to work from home. What were the tools and the resources we would need in order to make that happen? When that suddenly came upon us that this wasn't going to be the situation we would be in for just a couple of days or even a couple of months, but this would be an extended period of time, we had to really rethink how we would move forward and what was going to be required for us to be effective and efficient as we moved into this new world. Verizon was part of that challenge and part of that solution, and I'm impressed with all of you. I'm proud of the work that all of us did to come together and meet those use cases and solve those problems. We needed to rely on connectivity and connection to ensure that we could move forward, and it reminded us that the connections, both the mobile network and the physical network, were not just nice to haves, but they were critical to us being able to move forward. Some of the challenges and some of the things that we overcame I wanted to highlight today with some of the work that all of you did in this audience. Folks like the CDC and HHS who needed to intake incredible amounts of information and then provide education to not just us, but to the world as to what was happening and what we needed to do. We were able to scale capacity and increase teleconferencing opportunities for that customer in order to make those solutions real. For folks like and agencies like SSA and SBA who needed to put thousands of workers into the field to help struggling small businesses who were fearful that their doors were going to close, or to help citizens of this country who were unsure if they would be able to pay the rent or put food on the table. We enabled mobile devices and mobile connections to make that service a reality and serve the mission. We had state and local governments who suddenly had children who needed to be educated at their homes instead of in schools. And millions of those children did not have reliable internet connectivity in order to receive that distance learning. Verizon was able to provide, again, connectivity and reliability to those children so that they didn't fall behind and they were able to receive that education. The VA had to scale telehealth in a way that we had not really seen in the past. Tens of thousands of veterans able to receive video consultations with their doctor and receive care in their homes, saving them not only hours of driving to the nearest VA hospital, but also protecting them from being in what were very busy and at capacity hospitals. So to all of you who did that work, to many, many more use cases I didn't mention, thank you. We were proud to be part of all those solutions and so many more, and are committed to be part of those solutions as we go forward and serve what is still to be unknown. So Verizon it didn't stop either during all of this. Verizon didn't pause. We didn't relax. We continued to invest. We invested billions of dollars into fiber. We invested into our 4G LTE network, and we obviously invested in 5G. So let's talk a little bit about 5G. 5G is the future of innovation. We believe it is the future of where we're going. And when we were here together in January of 2020, 5G was still on the horizon in many ways. It was still a little bit out into the distance. And what I think we've seen over the last 18 months or so now is that it is upon us, and that it is now real. 5G is here. So one thing that COVID has done is a lot of those trends and a lot of those things we saw on the horizon, we've been able to accelerate and pull them forward much, much faster than we expected. We've been able to accelerate and leapfrog 5 to 7 years worth of technology and see those trends and those benefits become real today. And we expect to see that continue as we go into the future. We believe that 5G will be that revolutionary technology that will help all of us transform, will help governments serve their constituents and their markets, will help businesses, and will ultimately help consumers. It's important to remember that 5G is not just another G. We talk about it all the time. It's not just a faster phone. 5G will deliver ultra dense bandwidth, incredible bandwidth, and incredibly low latency. And 5G will ultimately be the technology or the innovation that drives and delivers other innovation. Verizon was the first to launch MEC in 2020 with our partnership with AWS and Wavelength. We continued to fuel the innovation and the pace of 5G in 2021 by participating in the largest spectrum auction that the United States has ever seen. And in that auction, we were able to secure the best available spectrum, particularly in the mid-band area, and double our capacity in that space. This has set us up as one of the, if not the dominant provider in that space in the domestic market. 5G will continue to revolutionize the way we do business. It will continue to revolutionize the way we support our customers, serve the mission, and ultimately help all of you deliver as we go forward. Verizon, we believe, by bringing together all of these pieces, ultra-wideband mobility 5G network, bringing together the powerful computing and processing power of the cloud, and by bringing together MEC, we can deliver the multi-access network that you will all need going into the future, and that we can be the network as a service partner that will help to deliver solutions and revolutionize technology moving forward. So now that we have what is the mixture of 5G, what does that mean, and where do we take it from here? How do we help to empower and enable the mission as we go forward? There will be an immense number of use cases that we have yet to even talk about or think about that will be enabled by 5G. Some of those in the space of disaster recovery or in public safety. Think about what it would mean to deliver 5G to a mobile disaster or to a recovery site. I'm going to save something for you at the end there. We'll talk about it at the end. It's a special treat I have for you as to a solution we have in the works today. Think about healthcare. We talked about that in a roundtable yesterday. I had a great discussion about what 5G can mean to healthcare, how we can revolutionize and deliver more for those in need and in remote healthcare solutions. The VA is a great example of that. We talked about it earlier. Think about what 5G will mean for massive IoT. To be able to deliver not just hundreds of devices in a square kilometer, but thousands of devices in a square kilometer. And to move massive amounts of data across those devices will revolutionize what it means to be a smart community or a smart campus. The last use case I wanted to touch on, I think, describes the impact of 5G in a way that I think is relevant to many of you in the audience. and that's drones. Today, a drone is a fantastic tool, but that's what it is a tool. And when that drone takes off, it will gather information. But in order for that information to become actionable, the drone needs to land, download that data, and then send it where it needs to go. That obviously wastes battery life on the drone, that's inefficient, and most importantly, it wastes time. When you can connect the drone to the network, now the only limitation of the drone is the speed of the network itself. Verizon has partnered over a number of years with our friends at the FAA, and we have gone through a series of tests to prove that we can connect a drone through our network, pilot that drone, and deliver it out of line of sight if needed while connected to the 4G LTE network. We did that in the Hall of Fire in Washington in 2020. We had pilots and an observer that was more than 20 miles away from that drone. We launched the drone and sent it into the fire. This drone went into territory that could not have been covered by humans. It was not a safe place for them to be due to smoke and danger and the fire itself. And that drone was able to deliver situational awareness, damage assessments, and provide real-time or near real-time information back to the command center in Alaska, over 1,600 miles away. That drone was connected to 4G. So imagine what could happen if that drone is connected to 5G. We'll continue to see use cases like this, things we haven't imagined yet, and partnership with all of you is critical to solve these problems and move us forward, and 5G will be that platform that we use to leap off from and create and innovate. We'll continue to work with our partners at the DoD on drone technology particularly, and I'm excited to have Brian Shrumsky join us today to talk a little bit more about our work with Miramar and with the DoD, and I'm going to turn it over to him. Brian is again our lead on all things 5G and our solution engineering team across Verizon.
Thank you. Thanks, Sue.
I'm Jason Barton. I'm on the Verizon MEC Managed Solutions team, and we're focused on applications that previously haven't been possible. Real-time video imagery and data collection from drones, ground robots, underwater robots, and pushing that over 5G into the MEC for real-time processing. Now, not all of our customers have real-time needs, but all of our customers benefit from getting their data in real time and starting the processing much earlier than they have been able to in the past. Our customers today are coming to us for solutions. They're stuck. They're not able to bring these applications into a cloud environment. The data is trapped in the field. So we're sitting down with them, looking at whether it's a real-time application or not. How do we get the data into the MEC and enable it to be available for processing instantly?
Hi there, my name is Joe Sullivan. I'm the CEO of Aerial Applications. Aerial Applications is a software company that makes maps using drones and artificial intelligence. And the primary problem that we're solving is this data deluge, right? The idea that you've got hundreds of terabytes of data that are just flowing in that need to be processed and reviewed. And it's too much data to be able to handle manually, right? And being able to crank through that information is expensive, it's time consuming, and ultimately low quality. With Aerial Applications, we've developed technology that allows processing of raw data and creates ultra high resolution 3D copies of the physical world that allows a wide range of sensors to come off of any kind of platform, whether that's drones or conventional aircraft or satellites. And we take all of those photos and sensor outputs and we put them into a cloud environment so that you're able to organize that into a structure across a wide range of different applications.
5G isn't just about a bigger pipe. With 5G in the MEC, we get much lower latencies and infinite scalability in the cloud.
A good example of this is the work that we're doing in wildfire prevention, where we can take all of that information, right? So we're able to fly over hundreds of square miles of forest land and give you a ultra high resolution model of those trees. And doing that serves a wide range of different mission sets, whether that's endangered species protection or wildfire prevention. But we're really excited about what we're going to be able to do once we implement 5G into our solution set. And so right now, all of that information streams off of the drone into the cloud. Once we're able to have a 5G connection from drones back to the cloud and then also to mobile edge devices, we anticipate seeing a massive increase in the speed of transfer across all of these multiple different objects in the field.
Our partnership with Joe and Aerial Applications is just one example. Verizon is fully committed to deploying the full potential of 5G for the benefit of the DoD and the incredible men and women that serve.
So, pretty cool stuff. My name is Brian Strumsky. I'm the managing partner of the solution engineering team of Verizon, specifically for 5G in the public sector group. So I'm very busy, as you can imagine. For the folks in this room, good morning. It's nice to be here in the great state of Nevada. To the folks in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and obviously our friends overseas. I'm happy to say that the work that Verizon's doing, and what I am doing, and my great team, and with the men and women in this room, is we've never seen this before. Right? One of the comments that was made yesterday in a roundtable that I really took back to the room tonight as I prepare for this presentation this morning was something that Barry West doesn't know I was going to say this, but never before have we seen cloud, edge compute, machine learning, AI, IoT, and 5G all coming together like now, right? I think in some cases the pandemic has unleashed this, right? When we launched 4G LTE in 2010, right? Airbnb, Uber, Lyft did not exist. Did not exist. So what doesn't exist today as we launch 5G in the future, right? And all this is coming together. It's a very exciting time. It's a very challenging time. In some cases, what I'm seeing from government agencies on the federal, state, and local level, how will the United States compete in the global market? From a national security standpoint, are we falling behind? Do we have the right standards in place? Do we have the right technology? The most important question I get all the time, especially from the men and women in the military, where's the supply chain? Where's it coming from? How do you secure it, right? So everything of this innovation coming out there, which we're very excited for, but these are the challenges that the men and women in this room deal with day in and day out. And I couldn't be prouder of working with all of you, and even my competitors with the other carriers as well. I think this is good for everybody. So as we talk about 5G and where it's going, DoD is leading the pack in a lot of ways. Verizon's very excited. We're working on the different test beds and the different tranches that are going on today and the different experimentations. Some of those have been awarded. Some of those are coming out here in the very near future. But it's pushing the envelope as where we're going, right, over the next 1 to 3 years on these experiments. But what we're starting to see in the military, and as we transition, as John mentioned, and you can see the drone applications, we're very excited about our partnership and a collaboration with the Marines, in terms of what we're doing at their air station at Miramar, right? Where we actually deployed the first 5G ultra-wideband network on a military base in the world. Very exciting stuff, right? And in this collaboration with the men and women there is, I think it's appreciation for everybody that's supported operations, deployed networks. Imagine putting the first 5G network on a military installation, not in a remote base, you're talking about an urban area, right? Coordination, spectrum, the FAA, logistics, power, fiber, all of that, and deploying that. So we're actually in the midst, we've already done it, we're actually expanding it today, but they're using that as a living lab. So that infrastructure, it is commercial, it's not private. We're actually working on some private scenarios as well, but it's a commercial infrastructure, meaning that men and women that serve can actually use their devices and actually reach the loved ones. That same network is actually being used today to do drone technology and autonomous vehicles. So one of the scenarios they have right out of that facility was they actually have an unmanned vehicle that's actually shuttling the drones. So you actually have a 2 right there to a test bed area along the flight line and actually launching the drones and connecting over 5G. We also see another test bed where we're actually using smart energy and actually have a solar power array, right? It's one of the constraints that we all see, right? As we learn with the pandemic, the 2 most important things that you wanted, connectivity and power. If you didn't have that, you couldn't work, couldn't support the mission, right? We're seeing that with the energy. So they're actually using smart grid technology and using the power of 4G and 5G to actually monitor it in real time. It's very exciting stuff. And then we also see how do we move material, personnel along the flight line. We're using autonomous shuttles to actually shepherd those individuals around the base. And when I talk to people about this, I think the appreciation that we have is, one, this is real. This is not something that's going to be a prototype. This is a commercial network that they can use today. But also the appreciation, just the logistical process that actually make that a reality and expand. And it's very encouraging that we see the DoD doubling down on some of their experiments and then also shifting, and not only from an R&D standpoint, but also from an operations standpoint, right? So when I go back to that comment when Barry said, hey, never have we seen a time like this, that spot on, that overplayed buzzword, right? It's a very exciting time. And we couldn't be happier what we're doing here. And our partnerships, as John mentioned, as we're going into edge compute, it only gets better. So this is a live network. We're very excited. There's more to come. We're seeing a lot of also agencies on the federal and state and local. How do they actually harness the power of 5G? Not just another smartphone, right? And I would say, when people ask me, where do we go from this, right? I started at 2G. I'm a 20-year veteran in mobility. I grew up on that, right? I have 2 teenage daughters. They remind me every day about mobility and the power of mobility and how they connect. I'm not on social media, but there's probably some TikTok videos that they actually took of me, but it's exciting time, right? But what we see on the 5G front is going beyond the smartphones, and also what we're starting to see is the supply chain. You will see the proliferation in the next 12 months that as we move from our traditional smartphones to the iPads, this is where the next wave is coming. I see it happening. It got a little delayed, I would say, on the supply chain and COVID, but you're going to see the more traditional IoT devices on 5G coming out later this year and going into 2022. It's just going to be an accelerant. It's an exciting time, and as you can imagine, you can see all the relationships that we're having on the edge compute, as we mentioned with AWS and Microsoft, so as we move that application that much closer. And that's why we highlighted the video on drone technology, because as the FAA puts certain rules in place where we can actually fly out of line of sight, the goal is to either have an autonomous drone or a pilot where he or she actually has a connected headset and is actually flying that drone in real time. We actually did some work with the New York Times and Disney and actually doing some testing in New York City, actually flying that drone. Because as you can imagine, how fast can a drone fly? And you actually want to have very low latency and high reliability to control that, right? In a smaller setting, not obviously in a military setting. So, cannot thank you enough for the opportunity to be here, to actually be in person. I think we're all fatigued in terms of sitting behind a screen all day, even though I have 2 screens right here in front of me. But thank you very much for being here. I'm going to bring John back out to actually close with a short video. Another one here where some of our new technology. But once again, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the great dialogue that we had yesterday. And I look forward to the event for the rest of the next 2 days. So thank you again.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you to everybody again for your time. Every time I walk out on this stage, it is an amazing experience to see all of you here today. I wanted to close with a couple of thoughts. First, I'm asked often, how do I feel that public sector is keeping up with the rapid development of technology? And I think what we've seen over the last 18 months with some of the highlights and showcasing items that you just saw from Brian or heard from the video, I think public sector is leading the way. I think all of you in this audience are pressing forward and challenging what is the status quo and finding ways to move forward. Verizon is honored and privileged to be part of that innovation and that movement forward. We are committed to staying with you and working with you to solve problems into the future. And in my 16-year career, I have never been more proud or more honored to be able to be part of serving a community like we do today with the public sector customers. So as we've heard over the last couple of days, what is this all about? It's about moving forward. It's about being part of something bigger, and it's about solving problems. I think we've heard in the conversations over the last couple of days, there's opportunity for us to work together. There's opportunity for industry to partner together. There's opportunity for the public sector and industry to work together to solve problems. So as we move forward, that's our commitment, is how do we continue to partner, solution together, define the use cases as we just heard, and solve these problems into the future. So in closing, I'm really excited to leave you with something that you may not have seen before. Earlier this year, Verizon launched Frontline. Frontline is a ground-up network system that is built exclusively to support first responders and their work, their mission, supporting the communities in which we all live and work. Frontline is a three-decade-long commitment to public safety and that audience that Verizon has been connected with, and we are committed to continuing that commitment as we go forward. With the announcement of Frontline, we took a sprint forward, if you will, and we have technology that is now crossing the country coast to coast, and literally the rubber is meeting the road when it comes to 5G. So as you see what we have on the video here as we leave, be thinking about what's next. What is the use case we can solve for, and how can we work together to get to that ultimate solution and solve those problems. So again, at Verizon, from myself, from Brian, from all of us who are dedicated and really, again, honored to support all of you, we thank you for the partnership, we thank you for the opportunity, and we look forward to what's next. Thank you so much.
I'm Carlo Thompson. I'm a principal member of the technical staff with Verizon, and I work on cool projects like this one. This is Thor, our mobile liver lab. Thor allows us to respond in a highly mobile fashion to any type of disaster. Thor stands for Tactical Humanitarian Operations Response Platform. What we have on board is a lot of technology that we've been working on over the years, 5G, MEC, and our new radio technologies, including ultra-wideband. This will allow us to go into mostly any environment and stand up a network when there is none.
We could bring this asset in, and as long as we can see the southern sky, we can actually communicate with the satellite. We could have a high throughput geostationary signal come through. So I could pull up to a disaster area, and in 20 minutes I could be up on the air.
The main components that make up the vehicle is our 6-person cab, which our crew will sit in and interface with the network while they're driving down the road, and then our operations center that allows you to interface with the equipment and be able to launch and deploy mast and do all of those cool things. On this taller mast, we have our millimeter wave and we have our sub-6 frequencies. On the shorter mast, we have a microwave point-to-point, so now we could connect this vehicle to another vehicle downrange. Now we could stand up a wider area network.
There's also a MEC server on here, so you might have an application like at a large wildfire where like you have a lot of people that are coming in, investigators and whatnot. They all need the same data. So rather than them using the satellite backhaul or trying to use a terrestrial network, you could actually put that application on the MEC server and it could be transmitted via the private 5G.
It can work with a minimal crew. The mast, the auto-deploy satellite, the digitally steerable microwave deploys all from a tablet.
Thor has 2 generators on it. It only requires one as a backup, or if you have an extra heavy load, you can actually fire up both generators.
So the next step is being able to respond to disasters. This vehicle can't respond to a crisis. I don't know what vehicle can.